I thought I'd give you a run through the kit I'm taking with me for the LG Trail. That's a 110 kilometre ultra marathon, just like my choice, but there's a few tips here that might be useful for you. So let's start off with my backpack. This backpack is a Quechua backpack. It's a 10 litre one. For me, that's enough to get everything I need in. I tend to use the outside bit for spare nutrition. I've got my head torches in there, of which I've got 2. I'm going to take 1 and spare batteries, and that's spare nutrition. In there I've got my safety blanket and whistle, which are both compulsory items. In the main section in here, I don't have a CamelBak, I actually have a Salomon one. I don't know if you can see the system there, it slides back. I find that better than one of the twist ones, a lot easier to fill up with water. That one's 1.5 litres. I tend to kind of do 1 litre at a time or so. I think that's enough. I've also got in there a spare underlayer, and I've got my jacket. For this race it has to be with a hood. I have got a Arc'teryx one, fairly thin and windproof. This straps around the front. I've got zip pockets here which have got bars and gels. I tend to put my caffeinated ones on that side, and I tend to put my non-caffeinated ones on the other side. I've got a cup in there. You have to have a cup for all of these races, part of their sustainability. I also keep a spare water bottle here, which I'll sometimes top up and I'll use to drop electrolyte tablets into, which obviously I can't put into my CamelBak. Over here I've got a couple of iPods, just in case one runs out. All loaded up already with music and lots of podcasts to keep me going through the night. Been saving up some of my best ones for that. The Red Bull I'll have about half an hour before the start. These are caffeinated electrolyte tablets. I'll probably have 2 or 3 of them during the race in that water bottle. This is a Garmin Forerunner 910 XT model. It'll last for this race about 16 hours. I've no idea what you do if you were doing the UTMB, how you get something to last that long. I've got some lip salve there. Phone should be fully charged. I've got ID because we're crossing the border into France. I've got spare money in there as well if required. My shoes, I tend to use these Brooks Cascadia. To me, they're like gloves. I find them really comfortable. Like gloves, they're like slippers. One of the great things about them is they don't have a really fixed toe box. There's a lot of mesh around here because as your feet grow in size during the course of the race, there's a lot of flexibility in it. Then the insoles are from Profeet. They've been custom molded to my feet, and when you're in them for 16 hours, it will probably be today, or 25 hours when I did the South Downs Way 100, having something like that makes a lot of difference. The poles I picked up from Decathlon. They're probably a bit heavier than ideal. I perhaps should have invested a little bit more, but I'll tuck them in my backpack on the back for the flatter sections, but I'll be using those on the ascents and the descents. I always go for a pair of compression socks. I find that because my feet are entirely wrapped in them, it kind of keeps grit and stones away from my feet. I've never had a blister in any of the races I've been running in the Cascadias with this setup. I've settled on this pair of Taco socks, very comfortable, again work perfectly for me. I always wear a peaked hat. It tends to soak up the sweat, stop it going into my eyes. Some people will use a buff or something, but for me a hat works. The glasses, be careful with those, particularly in the night. You need to stash them away. I lost my last pair of glasses on the South Downs Way 100, mucking around with my head torch, and they fell off and never saw them again. This is my top I'll be wearing, t-shirt, kindly given by Profeet, who are one of my sponsors. Whatever works for you. I happen to know, because I've run in this a bunch of times, it's comfortable. That's all you really need. You want to try and avoid chafing at all costs. and that's why some people go for things like Runderwear or whatever. This is a pair of Patagonia boxer shorts, really for hiking, and I find, you know, with them on, then it doesn't matter how kind of sweaty you get in your shorts, you won't get any chafing. I like these shorts for ultra marathons because they've got a lot of space and they've got pockets as well, and you tend to find that you will have things in your pockets, whether or not it's just gels that you're not throwing away or something like that. You want to keep the litter in there, or maybe chewing gum, or you just want to have a little bit of food in there that you pick up. For example, at the aid stations, you can always just stash a load of cold meats or something in there and eat them as you go along. So that's all of my kit, what I'm packing for tonight's ultramarathon, the LD Trail.